And if you ask me, sir, how does this work? These two parts of the car would be focused. Look at here. This is the front left, and this is the front right. So only these two parts will be there while they present the render or the showcase for any games or anywhere you could find that. Yeah, look at this, the front right or the front left. That's it. So this is the usual camera angle they prefer to light the automobiles. Okay, see front right, front left, front left. So other than this, you cannot find any big changes. Maybe the camera will be tilted towards from the top, but it's not that good because the BG is too much here. The subject is having only a little space to be occupied. Whereas look at here, this is clear. Okay, so the camera angle, I don't think there will be a problem in the camera angle if you stick to this reference. Fine, but of course you do have your own. Sorry, you do have your own liberty in doing that. Just a minute. I just forget where it at. Media ID. Just a minute, I was logging into the account which I have exited already. So, wow. That. Okay. I'll just come back. Yep. I logged in here. So these are the things we're going to do now. We already have few. Let's talk about compositing. Post light passes or render passes or AOVs. Okay, if you go with Arnold AOV, you can find the Arnold's usual AOV files. That's a documentation file from Arnold. Okay, so then you can find a number of reference images for Arnold's AOV. Now look at this one. These are the AOV files that Arnold supports. So we already discussed about this, and if you need to look into any reference or you need to know further about it, you can just log into Arnold's website and you can find all the options there. Yeah. Anyway, you'll be compositing them now. We discussed already in the last class. Now we'll be compositing them. So we call these things as light passes or render passes, and in Arnold they call it as an AOB. Okay. So I don't find enough materials I need from here. But anyway, let's stop that and go away, not going away. So now this is what we're going to do. Let's double click here. We have a diffuse. We have a diffuse map, and with the diffuse we have direct first. Then with diffuse we have indirect. Similarly, then we have direct pass. Then we have specular indirect pass. Then we have port direct pass. Then we have port indirect pass. Okay. So what we're going to do in Photoshop or in visual effects software, such as what you do it in Premiere or what you do it in After Effects or what you do in Nuke. There are multiple compositing packages available. But the techniques what I share with you now, the techniques will apply to any tool you use, because we will be discussing most about the terminology than the tools. So please listen carefully. So what I'll be doing is I'll be having my diffuse first. Okay, connecting my diffuse as a background first. Then I'll connect the diffuse to diffuse indirect. Then I'll be having my specular direct. I'll be connecting that to specular indirect. Okay. So then I'll be having my code direct, which will be connected to code indirect. Okay, I already mentioned about why we go for the render passes, because if you need to customize your renders, for example, if you want to change the color of the render image, or if you want to reduce the reflection, or if you want to increase the specular, or if you don't want a reflection for your car or for any 3D models that you do, then it would be really a chaos to go back all the way around 3D software and reopen your project file, and lighting and rendering everything again would really takes a lot of time. Thanks to visual effects software, that would reduce all these rendering times. Okay, because with this kind of detailed render passes, I have the ability to access each and every render passes separately. Okay, that's the reason why we go for such render passes. Okay, and there is one render passes which is already there that I mentioned already, which is a beauty render pass. So beauty pass, it is by default when you render a scene in Maya, the image what you get is a beauty pass. Hope you guys remember in the last class we discussed about it. So maybe I can just. So now we have got all the render images. Let's take the render images there, and like I said, look at the beauty basket. This is a beauty pass, but we can't customize this. Okay, that is the reason why we are taking all this into separate images, so we can customize that. We already discussed about it, but still I want to ponder it again. Okay, so what I do is first is this. There's a diffuse direct I'll be having. Okay, then I will use diffuse direct as my bottom layer, and diffuse indirect as a top layer. Then I'll be using specular as my top layer, and specular indirect as a top layer to that. Then above them, I'll be using coat direct and coat indirect. So this will be the method I'll be following. So my diffusers will be the bottom layer, my coat will be the top layer. Why is that, sir? Because look here, even in the diffuse direct, see, in the diffusers, I just put diffuse direct as the bottommost, then diffuse direct as a topmost. Okay. Similarly, in this, I put specular direct as a bottom layer, and specular indirect as a top layer. Then I use coat direct as a bottom layer, coat indirect as a top layer. Now, the base layer is diffuse direct. Then above that, I'll be having specular. Then above that, I'll be having coat. But why, sir? Why are you doing this? Because diffuse direct tells you about the color of the material. What color of the material you'll be using? That is what your diffuse direct. Okay. Then on top of it, we'll be having a specular. Okay, specular is lights behavior. Okay, so we call this. This is specular will be most for metals, the light's behavior. So that will be for my specular. Then how does the light react to that material react to that light? That's what specular we have here. Then we'll be having a reflection map. We're having a reflection on top of the object. So if you take a car, you'll be having a car paint first. You'll paint the car with a black color, red color first. That's it. Then after that, you'll be the material, whatever you are using for the car, like a metal or matte, whatever that material will be on the specular. How much it reacts to the light. That will be for specular. And coat direct is about the reflection. How much reflection you get from the car. So look at the specular here. So specular maps are black and white images in non-PBR images determine the shininess or reflectivity of an object. This is what they say. Mostly when you look into internet or anywhere, you would get confused whether like there is a reflectivity, there's a reflection, and they also says that it is a shininess. Okay, that's what they mean as a reflectivity. Whereas in my understanding, I would say that it's not reflectivity. Reflectivity is all about the coat passes we have. Coat direct is a reflection. Whereas this specular direct tells about the material properties. Okay, so it's like a shining. They would say you can say it as a shininess or anything, because shininess is also a material's property. Okay, so that's what. So we use the color as a bottom layer. Then above the color, we'll be having a specular. Then above the specular, we have to put code direct. Remember this order. At the bottommost layer, let's take the software such as Photoshop, then After Effects or Premiere or Nuke or Lustre, Inferno, Smoke. You take any compositing packages, including DaVinci. You have to put the bottommost layer as a diffuse direct. Above that, you'll be using diffuse indirect. Okay, it's like above that, you'll be using a diffuse indirect. Oh my God, can I just put this here? Yeah, then I'll be just using this. Then above this, I'll be having specular indirect. Then above this, I'll be having code direct. Then above this, I'll be having code indirect. So this is what we're going to do now. Okay, let's work on this. Let's see how to do that. I'll be taking these images and they align them as like what we discussed here in Photoshop. So
Hello, sir.
yes.
So I had a small doubt. So,
Please.
if we have an emission AOV, where should we put it?
Hello.
If we have an emission AOV, hello, am I audible, sir?
Yeah. I'll come to that.
Yes.
The reason
Yes.
why I've not covered that is because these render paths are mandatory. This ambient occlusion, this tells about this should be the this should actually come beneath diffuse. Okay, not beneath diffuse, it will become between. Let me just put this here. We can use this ambient occlusion here. Okay, because ambient occlusion tells about how much light you give, how much direct light and indirect light that the object is receiving. That's what about ambient occlusion. So direct and indirect lights. So this is what ambient occlusion is about. Anyway, if you notice here correctly, we already have a direct diffuse and indirect diffuse, because direct specular, indirect specular. We have direct code and indirect code. So ambient occlusion is also doing the same. Anyway, that's the reason I have not included it, but I'll show you that also. Yeah? Thanks for bringing this work.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah. Please do ask such questions, da. Only then I'll be motivated to teach more. Okay. So the order I want you guys to submit your assignments. So what I do now is I'm going to take the render images, which I already rendered. I'm going to position those images uh, as such we did here in Photoshop. So the reason why using Photoshop is because you guys know Photoshop, so I take you that. And yeah, you don't know After Effects and Nuke, so I'm not taking you that. Doing it in Photoshop is much easy. Actually, it's more easy in compositing packages. So I have AO pass, beauty pass. And if first I take the beauty and I drop it here. So when I drop it, would create a new Photoshop file with that size. Right. So here's my beauty pass. Let me just increase the brightness I have in my system. It's so dull. Might be because I have, yeah, I changed the color of my screen. So, okay. It's a beauty pass. Let me just name this B8UTY. And I just turn this, okay, let this be. We are not going to use this beauty pass. So I just disable the beauty pass. I don't want this. Okay. I don't want the beauty pass. Now we move on to the other passes. Maybe we have passes here. Just, then I go to my file, open, and look at here. We have code, direct, indirect, albedo, diffuse, albedo, direct, indirect, specular, albedo, direct, indirect. So we discussed about diffuse, direct, indirect, specular, direct, indirect, and code, direct, indirect. You guys get, thank God, stop. You guys got any noise?
No.
Okay, fine. Because there was some alarm in VIT which went off. Okay, so as of now, we took all the images plus albedo pass we took. Okay, plus we took albedo pass also. Then ID we have, okay, AO, okay, AO also. Now we took all the render passes, including the transmission albedo also. But anyway, we don't have transmission except the light. But anyway, we took that also. So now all the render images have been taken. Let me just open them. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. That's too bad. Do you guys know how to import them all into one image?
A drag and drop would work, sir.
Yeah.
And the file export.
That I should have done. It's too boring. Enter, 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 enter. And now let me turn off everything. The one beauty which is with drag and drop is I could get all the layers with the name on it. Okay. Now, as we discussed here, let's put these layers at the bottom. Okay. Then the rest we discuss later. So I want to take the diffuse direct and put it at the bottom of my layer. Okay. And I think I can go here. Okay. Diffuse direct. Then on top of it, I want it diffuse indirect. So let me just pull the layer here and make it a little bigger. Then I need diffuse indirect. Go. Okay. Then on top of it, I need specular direct. Then I need specular indirect. Then on top of it, I need coat direct. And we have coat indirect. So these are the render passes we need. So the rest of the render images like AO, coat albedo, diffuse albedo, ID, and all the other things, plus the beauty. Okay. Then, yeah, the albedos of trans everything. I just put them in a separate folder so I can access them again. I just drag or drop it in the folder here. I hope you guys know Photoshop, right? I don't need to teach you again. Yeah. Do you all know Photoshop? Have you guys worked with it?
Yes, sir.
Because yeah, great. Because
Yeah,
all I'll
sir.
be doing here is just I'll be working on the layers, not much. Anyway, the style of my each and every faculty's work will be different. Okay, it will vary from one another. So we have code diffuse here. Now look at that. We got a code diffuse. Let's press F here. That will be fine. I can easily see that. Now I can press my F7. Yeah. This is my diffuse direct. And on top of it, I'll be having diffuse indirect. Okay. So now the layer says normal. It's not normal. I just would like to what is that? Just a minute. Why I couldn't see any? This overlay and where is screen? Yes, screen is here. You can multiply, but I'm not going to use that. Maybe I could use a screen or I could use an overlay. I think I had to go with overlay. Yeah. Now look at this one. So this is diffuse direct on the bottom. Then we have diffuse indirect. Then we have specular direct. On the specular direct, I want to go with the screen. Okay. Then on specular indirect, again, I want to go with screen. Then I have code direct. And with the code, again, I want to go with the screen. Again, with the code direct, I want to go with the screen. Okay. Now, if you look at the images here, maybe I can just bring in my group images. So in the group, I just turn on my my beauty pass now. So this is the beauty pass, how it is before, how the final render image. Now within the final render image, so this is how it is. Okay. So this is how it is. So now I turned off the beauty render passes. Now look at here. So the diffuse direct. Now above the diffuse direct, we have overlay. What if I turn that also into screen? Yeah, that'll work. Now you can see diffuse direct is normal, except that every image other than that will be screen. Okay, all the images are screen here. I just used it here as a screen, and you can also try with multiply, but not with this one. For other Blender images, you could try. And the one other thing I would say is, if you think that multiplying this image or overlaying the one image with the other image, if you get a good rendered output, or if that's the output that your team or your company or you desire to get, then it is up to you to change these blending options. But the default blending options such as screen, multiply, and overlay could be used to until the output matches the requirement. Okay. Anyway, now let's go here and turn on your beauty pass. Look at the beauty pass here. Now both are similar. And look at the beauty pass here. It is little dull, but when I turn off the beauty pass now, you could see all the other rendered images. Okay, because beauty pass on the top. Now I'm going to turn off the beauty pass. Now you will get the final output what we got. Now look at that. That's much beautiful, right? It's really beautiful than the original beauty pass here. Okay. Now, so what are we missing here? Now we have a diffuse direct here. Okay. Now let me just close this group one. Now we have diffuse direct. And before I go further, guys, do you understood what I said until now? Have you all done it? If you have any questions or doubt, please to reach me now. I'll be
So could
listening.
you say again like how you arrange the code diffuse and direct?
How did I arrange? I think from where you want me to say things? Because
So the group that you kept well, it is
yeah, because
just
the group. Yeah, I told you. See, look at here. Here I have mentioned that I want to create this one, right? I want my diffuse direct, indirect, 1, 2. Then I need not this one. If you watch this, then that's what I've done here. I need diffuse direct and diffuse indirect, specular direct, specular indirect, code direct, and code indirect. These 6 layers I want now. Except the 6 render passes, the other render passes, I put them in a folder and keep them away. Okay, that's what I've done here. Look here, I put the 6 render passes. I put diffuse direct on top of it. I have diffuse indirect. On top of it, I have specular direct, then specular indirect. Similarly, I'll be having a code direct and code indirect. Okay. Apart from that, there was other render images which we have got from here, such as our ambient occlusion, beauty pass, albedo code, albedo diffuse, then albedo specular, then ID pass, transmission pass. So the other rest of the 7 render images we don't need. So what I did is I just created a folder and put them inside. Okay. All I did was I just selected all the other 7 render images. I dragged and dropped them in a folder here. So once you drop them, then it will become a group one, a new group. So that's how I created it. The rest of the images are here. Now, with the diffuse direct as the bottom layer, the blending mode will be normal, except that the other blending modes are screen. So on top of this, we have a diffuse indirect. The blending mode should be screen. Then specular direct on top of it, screen blending mode. Specular indirect again top of it, screen blending mode. The same for direct and indirect. Okay, this is what we do here.
okay.
Yeah. Yes, and there is also one problem which I don't like in Photoshop, because Photoshop is really good for editing or image editing or kind of raster. But when it comes to colors, Photoshop really lacks much in terms of color. When I say color for cinematic lighting or cinematic color things, because look at here, the diffuse and indirect, the output of diffuse and indirect is not visible to us directly, because specular is directly on top of it. So the output is override with the specular. Now the output of specular is and diffuse is override by code. So we can't see it separately. So that is one disadvantage. If you want to see them separately, I have to turn this off. Then I can see, okay, this is my diffuse light pass. Then this is my specular's light pass or render pass. Then this is my code's render passes. So this is how we do, but it's not a proper way to see that. Okay, we're done up with this. Then next, what is next is this. Listen, you know, I'd say diffuse direct, right? Why you need this render passes? Because this is how the render pass. This is how we can customize and we can improvise. Okay, our renders. I said, but what's the customization, sir? What you're going to do now? How you change the color? How you do something? Here I have a diffuse direct. What if I double click this diffuse direct and cancel that? Sorry, you can select the diffuse direct and I go to effects here. And here I have nothing. God, I'm so bad. So this, let me just, you know, when I select a layer and press Control U, what would happen? When I hit Control U, I select this direct diffuse. I press Control U. What will happen now? You got a hue. Okay, Control U, the shortcut key. So we have a hue here. Look at this. Yeah, can you guys see that? I'm changing the car color. The color of the car is changing. You see that? Maybe I can increase my saturation there. I'm changing the car's color. You guys get that? So I could change the car's color from dark blue to say from green to yellow or to red or to pink. Any color changes you want, you could choose that. So this is how you can even change the color of the car. When you change the color, you could see here the colors are also changing there. Take go with the pink color, anything you want. So here I'm changing the car's color. Okay, so this is what direct pass is about. Let me just turn off everything here. Let me turn off my code, specular, and diffuse indirect. Now I have only diffuse direct here. Okay, I have only diffuse direct, so it has to be only one light there. It's a diffuse direct. So when I just change the color of the car, look at that. I'm changing the color of the car here. You see that? So this is the base color. So this is how much the color is affecting the car. This is how much the base color we are able to change. Okay. So based on that, you could do that. Now you can see the color change here. Now you apply diffuse indirect on top of it, specular on top of it. Look at the specular indirect on top of it, then coat indirect on top of it. So this is what we can get. Okay, this is how you can change the color of the car. Okay, so that's one way. The hue saturation, I can double click and I can change it again. Okay, now what if I try to this one? Okay, now you guys understood. Now let me get inside my let me go to my specular, or let me go to my coat indirect lighting or direct lighting. Now look at the coat here. I hold the Alt key on the keyboard, then I click on the I button. When you hold the Alt key and click on the I button, it would show you only that selected layer. It would hide all the other layers. That would be really interesting when you would like to see only that one layer's output. Because what if you have 100 plus 200 plus layers and you want to see or focus only on one layer, then this would be the right way. Hold the Alt and click on the layer, you can see only that layer's output. Okay, here. Whatever the hue saturation you apply that, you have to apply the same hue saturation in this code direct also. With the code direct and code indirect. Okay, so if I just add any hue or saturation here, look at the change in the color. So when you change the color of the car with this, then you have to apply the same color. You have to apply the same color to the car in this code layer also. Okay, now if you want to, what if I don't want my reflection? I can just disable the code indirect lighting. I can disable the code direct lighting. So this is a code direct and this is code indirect. See, I can disable the indirect lighting. And if you want more reflections, select your code direct light and hit Control J. Look at that. Now it's too much reflection. I just duplicated the layer. It's too much reflection. You can select the layers and delete them. I just delete that also. Great. That is one. Now, let me bring in some more layers. Let me open the group one here, and there I have diffuse albedo. Diffuse albedo. Where is it? Albedo diffuse. Yeah, this is a diffuse albedo. When you just see that, you could see how it is. I can hold the Alt key and click here. This is all diffuse albedo. So the diffuse albedo, which will be put beneath the diffuse layer. Okay, so let's put this diffuse albedo beneath the diffuse layer. Okay, now we have specular, indirect, and direct. Now I'm going to put the specular albedo beneath the indirect and direct. So let's take the specular albedo and put it beneath the direct and beneath the direct and indirect. Then here code emission, then here code albedo. So drag and drop it beneath code direct and indirect. Okay, now select the diffuse albedo at the bottom. Okay, now try to change the color by using your Control U in the diffuse albedo. So before I do something, let me just turn this layer. Its diffuse albedo is already a smart layer. If you see here, it shows it's a smart layer. I can right click, I can go to rasterize layer. Once you click rasterize, that all the image will be converted into pixels. Okay, it's rasterize layer. Now you can, with the diffuse albedo layer selected, you can try to change the hue color also. You can try to change the hue color, how it works, you can see that. And why you couldn't see the output? Because now I want the diffuse direct pass not to be normal, but to be on this screen. Now select the albedo pass on the bottom layer. Control U. You can change the chords color. You look at that. The chords color is changed now. It is changed into a green color. So it's green again. It's a blue, purple. Then you can even have a color like this, like a pink. You have that. So this is how we do. You can change the colors. You can do all these things. Similarly, you can increase the reflection. You can decrease the reflection. You can do anything like that. Okay. So now we have specular albedo. Now enable the specular albedo. So look at that. Now change the specular albedo to screen layer. Similarly, we have a coat albedo. Enable that. And please do check this. Change the blend mode into a screen. This is a coat albedo. And the one thing with this coat albedo is we don't usually need a coat albedo because we have a coat direct and indirect. So I don't think we need a coat albedo. So I'll be deleting a coat albedo now. So we have speculars. Now look at this. This is the output. And when you turn on the beauty pass, this is the output. Look at the beauty pass we have. The original final render from Maya. This is the beauty pass. But let's look at the composition we made now. You see that? It's really good. This is really good. You can change many things there. And with come to diffuse albedo, you can select, you can change the colors. You could do really fun things with this. Look at that. You can change the color. And whatever the colors you apply, maybe if you apply a color like a purple or like anything else, you can also drag and drop the same. You can apply the same color to your car also. The same what do you call that? Same filter you can apply for your diffuse indirect and direct also, and you can apply on the direct coat also. Then look at the coat here. For the coat layer, I press Control U. Okay, this for the coat layer. Look at the reflection here. You see the reflection? You can change the reflection color also. See, whatever the reflection color you want, you could change that. Isn't it cool? Because you change the car's color, and not only now you're changing the car's color. Now you're also changing the reflection of the car. Okay, this kind of leverage you won't get when you take just only one render image from Maya. Okay, you can get this only when you take a render sequence. I mean, AOV render passes. Okay, so look at that. I will go with the blue here. Okay, similarly, we have quote indirect. We can just apply the same, or we could use something else. We can just copy this. Then I can go to quote direct. I can just paste that. Okay, got that also. Okay, these are things. So I hope you guys understood how we have to do, right? So for your assignment, I need you guys to use this one, which is quote. Sorry, I need you guys to put diffuse, then specular, and quote. So these three render passes is mandatory for your assignment. So when you submit assignment, what you have to do is you have to position all these 6 to 9. You have to position all these render passes in your MS Word file, one next to each other in the MS Word. Okay, I needed to put all the render passes, such as I don't take this specular albedo maps. Go with let's delete specular albedo. Let's delete diffuse albedo. Let's delete quote albedo, and just put this. I want you guys to go with only this diffuse direct, indirect, specular direct, indirect, and we have quote indirect. So these are the render passes I want from you guys. Diffuse direct, indirect, specular direct, indirect, and quote direct and indirect. There are things, these 6 things I want you to render from Maya, and you have to composite them. So the first one you have to do is take all the 6 images, put them in a Word file. Okay, take all the 6 images, put them in a Word file. Then you have to submit them. Now look at this one. So now I want you guys to put this render images in your MS Word file. So I have quote direct, indirect, diffuse direct and indirect, then specular direct and indirect. Now take all the render images and put it in your MS Word file. And here, it's not just like that. This is your
So can we add the images in a PowerPoint and then make it into a PDF?
yes, you can do that also. I just want you guys to put this, but on next to it, either you put your title on the top of the images or put it at the bottom of the image. But under each image, I need the name, or until unless at least put to the left of the image or right of the image. I want the name also. What render passes is that you have to write. So that's how I need. So you guys just align them. Okay, then you could do. And even you can insert this into 2 columns, 2-column page. Like go to your design, you go to insert. You can have a 2-column page. I mean, I'm sorry. I think I'm. You guys can find out how to fix this into a 2-column page. Maybe I can go to my home page. Anyway, if not, just this is fine. Okay, you guys can just write the name on top of it or either on bottom of it. Like this is my diffuse direct pass, and this is my diffuse indirect pass. You can do that. Okay, fine. Now is this the end? No, there is more to learn. Now, is there any doubt you guys have till this time? No, right? Let's move to the next. Go to the group now. we have AO pass. What is AO? Ambient occlusion. Let's drag the AO and drop it above the diffuse pass. Okay, so let me just drag the AO and drop it above the diffuse pass. Okay, and turn this on. Once you turn this on, look at that. Look at how it is. So let me turn the other layers off. I turn off my code direct indirect. I turn off my specular indirect. Then I also turn off my diffuse indirect. So what I could do is I can just put this diffuse indirect above diffuse direct. Now we turn the visibility on for these three layers. Diffuse direct is a base layer. So let this be normal. It's a base layer. Then diffuse indirect is on top of it. It should be on top of it. Okay, this diffuse indirect. Then next we have AO. Let's turn this AO pass on. And here, look at this. It's receiving no light. It's receiving too much highlight, and then it's receiving mediocre level. So here, go here and choose. Where is that? Yeah, you can choose multiply. Okay, or I think multiply would be the real action to it. You can use multiply here. Okay, look at this. This tells you which area is getting more light, which area is receiving no light. The diffuse pass would really help you to do that. And if you feel it's too much, you can just reduce the opacity of the diffuse layer. So the ambient occlusion layer, you can reduce the opacity a little bit. Okay, then look at this. We're not getting too much of light from the 3D object unless it be a little lit up. Look at that. It is a little dark here because we're not receiving too much of light. Okay. What if you duplicate this diffuse light? The problem is this, you'll get the dark also. So dark area will become too dark. The light area will become too light. So that's the reason I've not duplicated this diffuse. Okay. Now turn on your ambient occlusion also. Then on that you have a specular, the indirect, then coat, then indirect. Now without ambient occlusion, now with ambient occlusion. Look at the image now. Now this is with ambient occlusion. You get a proper shadow there. It's actually not a shadow. It's about how much area is not receiving light. Okay. Now I turn off this ambient occlusion. Now look at that. You may not get the feel as if the image is a 3D because it's not blended with the background. White is not blended with the background because it doesn't have the ambient occlusion. Once I turn on the ambient occlusion, I get the feel like which part is receiving more light and no light. Okay, so that's the difference. So that's the reason we go for an ambient occlusion. Okay, so similarly, if you lit the car much better, the direct diffuse will be much different. But if I try to go with my other render passes here, yeah, look at this one. This one is really cool. I did this for the class, for the other class of yours. Not for you guys, for other class. Maybe I delete these images. Okay, let me go here. See, I have diffuse albedo. Then I have diffuse, not diffuse albedo. Yeah, even diffuse direct is fine. I don't need albedo go direct. Diffuse direct indirect, then specular direct indirect, then coat direct indirect. I just take these 6 render images, which are these 6 render images are needed for your assignments. So now I take this and put it in my Photoshop. Now look at this render images. So like I said, diffuse direct has to be bottom. Then on top of it, we need diffuse indirect. Then we need specular direct indirect, and then coat direct indirect. Okay, now select diffuse indirect, make it green. Okay, normal screen. Then specular direct, make it screen. Guys, when you go to other compositing softwares, we need different blending options. We already have different blending options. We use that. Okay. Sorry, I go with screen again. Now look at this light. Isn't it cool? Now let me check you. Let me see this. Now look at the final output. Now I'm going to show. Press my F7. Guys, listen carefully here. This isn't it? Right click, rasterize the layer.
Okay, now I press my Control U. Now look at the hue here. You get that? See, look at the change in the color. Because in our file, the light was not enough to lit the object. Okay, the light was too much for the reflection or for specularity. But when it comes to the base color, which is the diffuse, we are not used much color. Whereas in this file, I have used much lighting. Now look at this, I can change this into a burgundy color car or a green or brown or look at that, a purple, red, anything. See that? So this is a level of advantage you may get from this. But how this is working? Let's just turn off other render layers. Let's have only direct. Look at this. We have diffuse direct and we have diffuse indirect. Okay, so now look at the diffuse indirect is doesn't matter. So I go with only diffuse direct. I turned off other layer. Go to diffuse direct. Select. Press Control U. Then you change. Now you can see the color. The diffuse color of the car is changing. You see that? So once the car color is changed, then it's up to you. You can change. You just add one indirect lighting pass. See, the green lighting will not be changed. Only the indirect lighting. The light which bounces off from other objects or surfaces and falls on your subject is indirect lighting. Then we have specular light. Look at that, because specular light has only the specularity. Look at this, it has only specularity. No matter whichever color, whichever the car color is, the specular will apply just as such. Look at that. It's really cool, isn't it? You change the car, they would get the proper render image. Then you have your code pass, code direct, and code indirect. Okay. Now this is render pass. See, that's really beautiful thing. We can change the car color at any time. Hope you guys understood, right? So this is what I want you guys to add. Just add the 6 render images and also add one Photoshop image. Okay, so I need you to add 6 render images, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 render images plus one Photoshop file. What's one Photoshop file? Like this, you should open your Photoshop, keep your render image like this, then take a screenshot of that image. Maybe use your, yeah, look at that. Use. When you take a render, take with the date at the bottom. So I would know exactly when you did this. So these are the render images I want. Okay, so these are the render images I want from you guys. And beneath each and every image, you had to give a name of what this image is about. Or beneath the image. So you can write this as diffuse direct. Or the top. Let it be. Then for the next one. Now this is your use indirect. Similarly, give a title to this, give a title to that. Okay, then you can do it. And this is specular direct. Direct. Then we have a Photoshop file. And we need to put your diffuse or your what is that image? The other render passes. Your code. So go here, take your code render passes also and put them inside. So let's take your code render pass, code direct, indirect, put them also inside your It's my code direct render pass. My code indirect render pass. And this is my Photoshop file. Then you also give your final output file. What is this final output, sir? Final composited. Sorry. Composited image. Okay, so what's the final composited image? This one. See, I changed the color of this car. I change the color into something like this. You can increase the saturation. You can decrease the saturation, however you wish. You can increase the light, decrease the light. Okay, you can do anything, any magic here. Okay, this render image I'll be saving. So let's go to a file, and I could just save the image, or for your easy access, I would say you can use your snap. But don't do this. You have to take a image render and use that. That will be the proper way, because the image quality will be preserved. So this is what required from you guys for your tomorrow's assignment. Okay, so 2 diffuse direct indirect, 2 specular direct indirect, 2 coat direct and indirect, then 2 images, Photoshop file with a screenshot of you working in the Photoshop with the render layers. Then you have a final composited image. This final composited image should differ from your original car color. Okay, that I can get from the coat indirect, or from the diffuse I would get that. Okay, you guys have any questions or doubts for me? Please let me know. Yeah, could you guys do it?
Yes, sir. So I was actually trying to change the color, the base color, but
Mhm.
mine is actually mostly black and gray. So when I try
Yeah.
to change it
The
doesn't change
problem
much.
might be because of this. Look at here. In our previous file, we have not lit the car properly. There was not too much light. We used only less light. So because of less lighting, the diffuse has only very few lighting there. The diffuse color has to be like this. Only if the diffuse, you could able to see the diffuse color normally like this, then you can change the color. If your diffuse render pass is too dark like this, if the diffuse render pass is too dark like this, then it won't work. So a diffuse direct indirect, then I have a specular direct indirect, then I have code direct indirect. Because afterwards it's much easy and simple, I would say, from my side. And I just look at this, the same like what we did. I'm going to put the diffuse direct on the bottom. So could you see here, diffuse direct on the bottom, then diffuse indirect layer on top of it. Okay. Sorry. Diffuse direct and diffuse indirect on top of it. Then you will be having a specular direct, specular indirect. I didn't bring any mind either. So specular indirect. Then I have my code direct, then code indirect. That's it. I go to the bottom layers. So the bottom is direct. Then above that, I'll be using add. Add is really good on screen. I could use that. Specular direct, add, specular indirect, add mode. Then this one, add, and this one, add. Look at that. This is a final render image. This, you see that? Similar. Whereas here it's a add option we use, so it's much better in After Effects. And if you want to change the color, go to direct diffuse, right click. We're discussing about colors, right? So go to FX and change the color. You can change the color correction there. You can do with your any of the color correction tools you could use. And if it's about shifting colors, you have a hue saturation. So here's the hue saturation, and you can just change the hue. So where is that? Yeah, here it is. You see that? You could do some changes. It is. And if you want too much reflection, start the reflection layer, which is the code direct and indirect. I select the code direct indirect layer. I hit just Control D for duplicate. Look at that. It's too much reflection now. Control Z. That's it. Well, if you need specular, select the code, set specular direct, and Control D. See, you get to see so many specularity there. The same thing you'll be doing in your Photoshop. Okay. And if you want too much color to be added, you can just duplicate the color also. But anyway, for the colors, you won't get difference. Okay, the same. I just show you an example there. The blending modes here are much easier than in Photoshop. So the same, because Photoshop, Premiere, After Effects, all are layer-based software from Adobe. So you'll be getting the same result. Okay, that's it, guys. So hope you guys understood. Hope you could submit it on time, right? I'll post the questions within a couple of hours. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.